When you think of Singapore, what comes to mind? Probably this gleaming, hyper-modern global hub, right? But, that's really only half the story, because behind that futuristic skyline is a nation that is fiercely, fiercely protective of its local identity. Today, we're going to unpack this incredible paradox. So which is it really? What is Singapore's true identity? Is it just a global hotel, this sleek, super efficient playground for the world's elite? Or is it a national home, a place where its own citizens can actually build a future? And look, this isn't just some abstract thought experiment. It's the real daily tension that defines life in modern Singapore. Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, we're going to use a simple but really powerful framework, the anywheres versus the somewheres. Now, anywheres, they're the global elite. Their passports, their skills, they can be at home pretty much anywhere in the world. But somewheres, they're deeply rooted in their local community with this powerful sense of national identity. In Singapore, these two groups aren't just neighbors. It's like they're living in two totally different worlds, but on the very same tiny island. All right, let's dive in and really look at these two parallel universes. First up, we're going to explore Singapore as the global city, and then Singapore as the heartland home. Yeah, this slide right here, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? The anywheres are living in this world of private condos, international schools, and, endless global competition. Their Singapore is a slick, meritocratic business hub. But for the somewheres, home is the HDB heartlands, where things like community, family, and fairness are the absolute top priorities. And these aren't just slightly different lifestyles. We're talking about entirely different worldviews, somehow coexisting in one tiny nation. If you want to understand the sheer scale, the sheer power of global Singapore, just look at this number. Almost $5 trillion in assets under management. Whoa. This is the engine of that anywhere economy. It's what makes Singapore this absolute magnet for global wealth, for family offices, for top-tier talent from all over the world. It is the source of the nation's incredible prosperity. But then you have this number, 77%. That's the percentage of Singaporeans living in public housing, what they call HDB flats. And we're not talking about a small slice of the pie here. This is the overwhelming majority of the population. This is Heartland Singapore. It's a world away from the global finance we just saw, a world built on community and shared experience. So what happens when these two completely different worlds smash into each other? Well, you get a group of people caught right in the crossfire, the stuck middle. These are the ambitious, hardworking Singaporeans who are just feeling the squeeze from both sides. And this chart, it really starts to paint the picture of why they feel so squeezed. Before any government help kicks in, that income gap in Singapore is wider than in a lot of other developed countries. And yeah, the government does a lot to try and level the playing field, but that initial gap, it creates a huge amount of anxiety, especially for the stuck middle, because they're often in this tricky spot where they make too much to get a lot of government help, but not nearly enough to feel truly secure. And this is the stuff that's actually keeping people up at night. You've got intense job competition, a sky-high cost of living, this absolute pressure cooker of an education system for their kids, and of course, the demands of national service. They're basically trying to live a somewhere life, a local life, inside this supercharged anywhere economy. And, well, it's a huge strain. But here's the thing. This tension, it isn't just left to bubble up on its own. The Singaporean government is in what feels like a constant state of damage control. They're performing this incredibly delicate balancing act to try and keep both of these worlds from crashing right into each other. And their strategy is, well, it's basically two-pronged. It's like they're pushing the accelerator and the brakes at the same time. On one hand, the economic policies are unapologetically anywhere. The goal is just maximum openness. Bring in the capital, bring in the talent. But on the other hand, the social policies are intensely somewhere, investing massively in public housing, reinforcing traditional family values, and doing everything to promote social cohesion, all to reassure the local population. So, the big question is this whole balancing act actually working? Well, this number here tells a slightly different story. In the 2020 election, the opposition won a record 10 seats. And that was a huge signal, right? It was the somewhere and the stuck middle voters basically saying, hey, our worries are real and we need you to listen. And you know what? The government is listening, or at least they're trying to show they are. They're pulling every policy lever they can find to try and keep the peace. Fair hiring rules, higher taxes on luxury stuff, huge subsidies for housing, and massive support for the older generation that built the country. It's a constant, non-stop tightrope walk of appeasement and adjustment. Which brings us right back to the fundamental conflict at the heart of all this. It's really about two competing visions for the very soul of the nation itself. It is a very precarious harmony. So from the anywhere perspective, the argument is brutally simple: survival. For a tiny nation like Singapore, relevance is literally everything. If you close the doors, if you become insular, the country just withers and gets left behind. For them, staying open isn't a choice, it's an absolute necessity. But then you have the somewhere perspective, and this one is a powerful, emotional plea. It's all about identity, about legacy. It asks this really profound question: what's the point of all this incredible economic success if the nation loses its soul? Is the goal just to be a transient global hotel, or is it to be a permanent home built for Singaporeans? And that, right there, is the Singaporean anomaly. Look, this kind of divide, it exists everywhere. The real anomaly, the thing that makes Singapore so unique, is this relentless, all-consuming government effort to manage it, to keep these two incredibly powerful opposing forces in a delicate and, so far, successful balance. Which leaves us with the billion-dollar question, doesn't it? As the world gets more turbulent and that stuck middle gets more and more anxious, can this fragile peace actually last? The entire future of Singapore really does hang on the answer.